To the team from PUQ. It is called the Navigator, the PUQ Prep. So this is an automated needling device that sits straight on top of your group handle, and it will do the needling for you instantaneous. Let's have a look at it. This is the device. It weighs about 300 to 400 grams in there. It sits on your group handle. We'll grab our dose of coffee, and we're going to pour it straight into the needling system. Here we go. Now I've got this set on the pre-setting, which I'll come back and talk about in a moment. But as we're, I guess, grinding into our group handle, I'm going to activate that right now. And you'll see there's a countdown timer. So we can delay when the needling actually starts. Pop in our whole dose there. A little bit of mess. But essentially, you can see now that you've got a perfectly needled and distributed coffee bed. It's pretty quick, it's pretty easy, generally not that messy, but I guess it is something that we could use in the commercial space, because the time of needling each individual coffee is where we've always thought it would be too hard to put into the commercial space. So what do you get? What is the actual device? Well, there's a couple of things that come with the unit. You get a double set of needles, because every single basket has a different depth, and they give you two options. And they're super easy to interchange. You can just push them out and insert the other set. They're color coded for the different depths that you'd have, whether it's an 18 mil basket or the 20 mil basket as well. There's 12 different needles there, and they're all in different angles and sort of shapes. So there's no consistency in how those needles work, which is kind of cool when you think about a process of having to manually needle. They've thought about a lot of little details in how it's actually going to be randomized in the coffee bed. It's USB-C rechargeable, and it comes with the charging pack. So it's a pretty simple device. There's not a lot to it in terms of accessories. Now in the menu, there's a couple of things that you can do. There are 3 different settings. There's the STD or standard, the SP or the pre. Now essentially the differences between those is how many anti-clockwise or clockwise revolutions that the device is going to do. So it can be 4, 6 or 8 essentially. Now as you want to activate the unit, you just press the button on the front. And you can see that in this mode, I've actually got a countdown timer. So that was 3 seconds. And you can see this is going to do 8 of the revolutions. Now if I wanted to change that, you can simply hold down the menu. It'll start to flash. We go across to SPD or STD. And in those individual settings, you can increase those times to whatever you like, to have a pause so that the grind can fill up the basket before you start to needle, or you can take away the time and it'll just start to needle as soon as you press the button. In terms of build quality, it is a solid, pretty well built unit. It's got good casted metal to it. It sits in the $650 odd price point as well. So it's definitely a higher price in compared to a manual system, but it's pretty techy, pretty smart, and you'd probably expect it to be around that kind of price point. How is it for durability? Well, it weighs about 400 grams and it is quite a durable unit. There's not much to really break on this other than the needles. So it does look like you'd have a bit of an issue placing it on a group handle, but it is pretty intuitive, and I haven't yet to actually knock these needles. And I'm sure if you broke them, there'll be some replacement kits available. It's USB rechargeable, and that's going to get you anywhere between 800 and 1000 of the revolutions, and that depends whether you're using the 4 revolution option or the 8 option. So there's plenty of power and plenty of uses there to get a cafe through a full day of service. And PUQ are offering a 12-month warranty on the Navigator. For a cool little unit, it is quite stylish, and it's made in Europe. Comes out of the Netherlands, which is great to see that there are some wonderful countries starting to think about making better coffee and using their engineering skills. So you can see the styling and the taste of the European feel in the product, which is pretty nice. So how does the Navigator fit into the day-to-day workflow of a barista? Because really that's where it's going to be, bringing that great WD technology into this space. Now, we know over the years we've changed a lot of things, and we're trying to look at quality and speed as well. So with the Navigator, it does sit onto any group handle. The 58 mil fits quite well. To activate grinders, they're all different. You may have a button on it that you've got to press. It might be a proximity sensor, or you might have a button on the top. Now, when you dive into the shape of this unit, these little arms do allow a little bit of a gap. So for some grinders, you can't activate the actual manual button that's on your grinder. So in the case of our SP2 here, we have that issue as well. We can't seem to do it on the Mazzoconi grinders either. And you might see it working quite well on the Melkoning E80s or grind by weight grinders. That seems to work. So you're gonna have to look and just see how this space of the unit, as it's sitting on your group handle, activates into your group there. It just physically doesn't fit for some grinders. So maybe check that out. So what do you have to do in that case? Well, like I showed you before, we have to grind off our grind. We'd be taking our handle out, giving it a bash, giving it a bit of a clean up. Now, we could do two things. We could still use our dosing pot and pop the coffee in like so, and then place the Navigator on and activate it. There we go, so we've got a couple second delay. All right, we'll remove it, and we've got that beautiful flat needled surface ready to tamp. So straight into an auto tamper, give it a clean, and you're ready to go. Now that's the way I think I would have to use it in the workflow if I've got a dosing pot. The main reason is when we go to use the dosing pot, we invert our handles. And I'll just show you what would happen. Pretty hard to hold this, it is quite heavy, to then invert it and put it on top of the basket. And it actually doesn't fit the 58mm quite well. So don't think you're gonna do that. You'll only end up dropping your Navigator on the ground and possibly you could damage it. So workflow wise, a little extra step there that's gonna have to happen to make it work a bit easier. Ideally, getting it to grind straight into the Navigator would be the best option from your grinder. So if you've got a single dose grinder, maybe like the Mazda over here, the ZM1, you could hold it underneath and grind straight into it. So that would probably be the best outcome for a product like this. So to truly understand whether the Navigator is going to help us in PUQ prep, you'd want to be using a bottomless or naked portafilter. We can then start to see what's going to happen with the extraction. So I'm just going to pop our Navigator on again. I've got our dose. Now, one thing you'll note, if you're trying to use the bottomless on a bench, essentially it doesn't fit flat. So the grinds will probably fall out when it starts to work. You'd have to hold it on the bench flat and then pop your dose in, or you'd have to do what I did before, is pop the dose in first, then pop your Navigator on and start it. So maybe a little bit more workflow happening to integrate that into your daily routine. And we'll give it a tamp. Give it a clean up, and let's have a look at the quality of the extraction that we're going to get. Now, any needling speeds up our extraction because the particle sizes have been more evenly laid out and the water flows through a lot quicker. So you can see there, we've got to that beautiful cone pretty quickly. It's a pretty even color all the way. We can't really see any squirting or channeling really happening straight up. Now, just to note the time here, that's 25 seconds. And we did get a little bit of our pale on the extraction, which is basically the over extracting or a bit of a bitterness coming through. So because the water goes through so evenly, it does go through faster. You would start to now chase a much finer grind to get more TDS or more solids out of your actual espresso. So how does it taste? Let's do a quick comparison just to a standard dose. So we're not going to do anything to this basket, actually just to show you. There you go. Not much channeling there. It is a little bit spongy. So if we just give that a knockout, we've got our same dose there. Pop it over, give it a tap, maybe just a quick little level, okay? Give it our tamp, and we'll lock it in again. And let's just see what kind of extraction we get through the bottomless portafilter here. Okay, so it's coming through the front for sure. You can see in the middle it sort of is blocked up a little bit. It's struggling to find that symmetrical cone. If you look at the color of it, you can see that we've got definitely some dark still coming out the back, and it's all washed out at the front. So basically the water is flowing really fast through the front there. You can see the column has been pushed to the back. So there's definitely some channeling happening in that basket. Okay, and there's definitely a lot more of the pail, which is a bit of over extraction. And it did slow down the actual extraction. We're down to 28 seconds. Now, there are two extractions there. So this is our Navigator and this is our normal extraction. So how do they taste? What's the difference? Okay, that's fruity, it's quite light, it's got some really complex flavors going on there. It's a little bit of toffee, but a nice clean toffee. Okay, this one is certainly a lot more bold. It is quite syrupy, quite thick, but it's not as complex. The acidity's definitely been overtaken by, I guess, the boldness and the sweetness that the cup has. There's definitely not as much fruity or floral flavors in there. So this is pretty much in tune with a lot of the tests that we've been having. It definitely gives a more balanced cup by doing some needling. And if you've had a play with any sort of WDT, you'll probably find this flavor as well. Basically, because you're getting a better flow through the coffee bed, it's going to actually be more even in its extraction, and you're going to get a more balanced flavor. You're not going to have these big rocks or clumps, boulders, or channeling, which is going to change how quick the water goes through that coffee bed, giving you even more bitterness or sweetness or boldness or all the issues that you might find that you don't have by having a good needling or PUQ preparation. So what do you think? Do you see this fitting into your workflow as a barista in a cafe? Is that process going to work with your routine and how you can pump out coffees really quickly? Is the advantage that you're going to get by making a better cup of coffee by having perfect distribution from a needling tool going to help your business grow because the coffee tastes better? Is that a trade-off you're willing to spend $650 odd to do that? Hey, I'd love to know. Put the comments down below. Let's see how you think this will work. It's very bold and brave for PUQ, who have been innovators in this space, to actually tackle a automated device for WDT in the cafe. They're certainly the first to do it, and it'll be interesting to see if anyone's going to try and follow their lead. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. We look forward to chatting more about this product. I'm sure it's going to be a hot topic for quite some time. Anyway, thanks very much. We'll catch you next time. Cheers.